anything else on the civic hall that we need to? We've accepted the latest report. Consider actions. Yep. Okay. Next item, 37, Darkside Buildings update. And can I say, just at this point, thanks to those people who've been supporting some of the activities at the Darkside since Epic's moved in and have started their activities. So thank you for that. Want to speak to us?
I've got lots to say.
I thought you might.
Okay, so regarding what I put in the agenda about estate agents' costs and legal costs, you might just want to note that both those costs are represented as having been paid in the finance report budget line that we looked at in item 242533. But in fact, the legal costs need to be, the payment needs to be approved at the next finance and management committee meeting next week. Just to make that clear. So the Darkside building has EMR of £5,000. If I can just remind everyone of that. So you've seen the lease, that was included in the papers. It has been an important and significant piece of work since the July meeting. The lease completed on the 12th of August. Handover took place on Tuesday the 13th of August. And there's been lots of discussion since then with Epic's staff about what they want, what's possible, how we can support them, and so forth. Some remedial works have been carried out, including, which you approved at the last meeting, the fitting of the sink. Now, our maintenance contractor used one of the spare sinks from the Home Birth Lose It, if you like, and in fact what they want is a different kind of sink altogether. They want a sort of stainless steel butler sink, which is...
Just about washing bikes and things like that, wasn't it? Or something,
yeah. So John's sourced a unit that has been shared with the Epic staff. They said they're happy with it. He will be installing that this week. Okay, so that has happened. It might exceed the amount approved at the last meeting of £300 when it's completely finished. I'm just sort of letting you know that really. Lots of unwanted items in racking have been removed and disposed of appropriately. I'd like to thank our contractor for his help with all of that. Epics have started a lot of the redecorating, and it does need redecorating. You know, having done the condition survey with them, and I've got lots of photos on my phone which show that yes, it does need redecorating, no doubt about that. So they've been putting the work in for that, and I asked them to keep receipts. Okay, so in terms of my discussions with them, what I agreed with them was, well, keep the receipts, you go ahead and do the redecorating, and one way or another, we'll get that money back to you. We'll reimburse you the cost for the materials you've used. They couldn't quite get the information receipts to me in time for the agenda to go out, but I have received them since. And I've got receipts for £67.45 for decorating materials. And I've also been informed that a further receipt for £140 worth of timber will follow. So one of the things you might want to consider is approving expenditure of up to £207.45 for decorating and refurbishing materials from EMR 331 Gartside Building. It would need to go to full council to release the money from the EMR, you know, so that you know that. But
can I suggest we make it more than that? If they're going to spend, they're not going to spend £221. There's going to be, this comes in, it's going to be 350 or something.
Well, there's another item perhaps to look at as well, which might be the window.
Right.
yeah.
Oh well, no, the window will be a lot more. But I think we should give them more than the amount they've asked for. Maybe we should earmark more than the amount they're asking for, because it, just like the roof, it'll cost more than they think it's going to. It will.
Yeah, going to say is usually in parish council, what you want us to do is to present you with the exact figures we've been given, and that's what I've done. But it absolutely makes sense what you're saying, Pat.
So
So
go back
there
to
you
another
go.
full council meeting in another few months to approve a further £35 or whatever.
Can I suggest we make it £500 with the clerk being able to approve those payments when they come in and make the payment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'll be vetting what they're doing anyway, Jen,
Yeah.
but in general.
So up to 500.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you-
But not in any one go, I mean, just for the decorating, but anything up to 500, just like 200 now, and 300 if
That's
it's
reasonable.
Tom?
I don't know if I'm really happy about this, because if we were renting this out to like a private business, like a shop, would they expect us to pay to do it up and do it up for them?
Yeah.
Or wouldn't they do it themselves? You expect them to do it themselves, wouldn't you? Like, you're renting something, and you get what you're renting, you're paying for. You don't like, go ask you, well, I know like if you're renting a house of somebody, you expect it to be a certain level of need and all that kind of stuff, and you want the boilers to be fixed and stuff like that. But this is kind of like, as it is, the new they were getting, I understand the adding in the sink to it, because it needs a sink, something like that. You can't really do much without a sink. But the rest of it, decorating it and all this other stuff, when's it going to end if we keep on doing this?
Can I,
The actual rent that's coming in is not going to make up for it.
can I just say, I think you're raising a really interesting point, because this is a bigger issue just than, sort of there's some repairs to be done here. They are a tenant, but I believe that we've got a bit of a symbiotic relationship with this tenant, in terms of support and the support that they give us in trying to achieve some objectives as well. There is some stuff that you might say, well, we needed to make it fit, and they're actually putting in some work as well on our behalf. That's under decorating and so on. But I personally take your point and think we do, and they aren't. They have been given a pot of money. I mean, they moved in because they got a decent grant. I have no idea what the breakdown of that is, but they've got a grant for that project as well. So it's not all on us. Alison, do you want to say something?
I was just going to say, what one was doing is just making it roof. I mean, somebody mentioned the hole in the apex of the roof, where the breeze blocks and the roof don't fit. When we went in the toilet side, there's air, there's a space there. They probably hear people in the toilets from that unit. I mean, it is a bit grim.
I would hate to have the very idea that we're considering not putting a window in appalls me. I mean, I can't think of anywhere more unpleasant to work all day than that room.
No, it's horrible. So I sort of know where you're coming from.
I take your point though, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much money we're spending, so but I mean, there's money in the budget for it, so it probably should get spent on it. But I just think there kind of has to be a line at some point.
I think I think there's some discussion to be had with them as partners as well as a tenant, and certainly the last conversation I had with Kim when she was talking about the window was, we can discuss that, but have you got anything left in your pot as well as what we might find? Sorry, Hugh.
I mean, I think some of what we're doing, you might be able to consider essential maintenance,
Yeah.
which you would then expect to be the landlord's responsibility and not the tenant's. And you shouldn't forget that they're providing the labour. And if it was essential maintenance that we had to pay for, we'd be paying for not just materials, but also for labour.
Yeah,
So it swings and roundabouts.
another guy's been paying.
And the window would be to our benefit as much as theirs.
Exactly, and that's another.
Because we'd be able to charge greater rent to future tenants.
There's lots of angles to this whole issue, I think.
If I can just draw that to a close by talking about how, in my view, when I've been having conversations with Kim, it's about the lease standard. It's bringing it up to the standard that's expected in the lease, and that's what I think that potential £500 should be doing. And after we finish the meeting, Tom, I'm quite happy to show you the photos on my phone, which do show that there were things that needed attention.
It's been a good few years since I've been in there, since the shop was.
We should also be paying for spaces between the roof and the wall and getting that sorted before it turns into the civic.
We'll get to that later. No, it's as bad as a civic, isn't it? It is. Well, I don't know if it is actually that bad, but yeah, it's not great.
Just remember, you're on tape.
It's okay.
You know, in some things that might seem humorous now, might not come across
But no,
to
So it's not
people.
funny.
if
It
there
is
is a
funny.
hole in the roof or the gable end or whatever, it needs to be fixed, and that is our cost, not the tenant.
So we voted, I think we voted on the 500 quid.
No, we haven't.
So can I put
going
that to the meeting that the proposal, which I think came from Glenn, that we approve up to £500 expenditure on repairs and so on, and delegate the responsibility, but it has to be signed off by, initially signed off
As
by
long as
the
it's a character feature.
Separately, do we want to consider the window, or we're just going to look at, we're going to get some cost for that?
I've got several other things.
Okay,
so,
sorry.
Yeah, so, the other thing just to draw your attention to is we've had conversations about appropriate signage. I think they've been in contact with you as well, Councillor, regarding this. It's important to have control as the council, I think, over the look of the exterior. And one of the things they have quite reasonably said that they want is a notice board. Now, I think if there is to be another notice board for them to use outside the premises, it ought to match the notice board we've already got there. That would cost £689.35, as I've put in the agenda, and I have committed the council to fund this so that we've got control over ordering and putting that notice board up so that it's a mirror image of the one that's already there. And one of the things I would like you to do tonight is to note that I've taken that action, because that's sort of protection for me, really.
Everyone notice?
And then we come on to the window. Now, as I said in the agenda, the maintenance contractor did do a quote back in 2022. It was just from the maintenance contractor, so I can't have anything to compare it with. And with inflation, of course, that cost of £2,000 will have certainly risen. And I'm aware that there are security issues as well that we will need to consider for putting in a window. I'm not sure if planning permission might be needed.
Donna only thinks it would, because the square, the grass bit outside, that thing in the middle there, is some sort of monument or listed or whatever, and that it might mean that the window that would overlook it would, but it could be done in a way that fits in.
I don't think a window is going to materially affect the setting of the only.
It's been raised more than once before though, because I've been plugging for this window for about 4 years, Steve.
Could I just ask that we look into this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that okay?
And we could either, I mean, either way, we either have to pay for pre-planning advice or pay for advice on planning permission.
Yeah.
So the principle is, sorry.
Yeah. The point I want to make is Epics are quite understandably keen to have this done. You know, if they're going to have someone in there, it would be much nicer to have that window. But as owners, we've got to ensure it's a sound project. So what I suggest, given that our next meeting is in November, is an action for me might be to obtain quotes and further information to be brought forward to the next meeting with a view to taking it forward. I don't think you can really approve it until you've got more information.
But I think it's a sensible investment for us as responsible owners of that building, for future tenants. I mean, not having a window precludes loads of possible tenants. Nobody wants to sit, and if anybody had even the remotest thought of retail, they'd want a window.
So I'm just.
Jen, the quote.
Sorry, that again. Thank you.
The quote will also need to include having some flagstones alongside the building for people to walk along to look through the window if it's a retail window.
Say that again, Pat. Sorry, I was just noting
The cost of the window would include a path underneath it. because in future, if it were a retail unit, you'd want people, it would be onto grass otherwise.
Yeah, that vent is high up. I don't think the wind.
Yeah, but it's always small.
No,
it's not
right.
further.
No, we were talking about a window at human being level, not the weather
Not
vent.
in the minutes here, we're talking about replacing the vent. with
Well, I
window.
don't think we should be paying money on a window that doesn't let anybody see out. I think we need a proper window that enables the people inside to see out.
The Epics want that though. If they don't want that, then I don't know what they're trying to do.
I think they want something that they can advertise. You know, it may not be. It's not so much about the light. I don't think it's so much about the light and seeing out. I don't, as far as I understand.
The window, and you can put a display in the window. That is advertising.
It needs much more information.
And we need the window to fit our needs in the future, not just Epic's needs now. And a window that would suit a retailer or another business where people like to be able to see the world outside when they're working is a better investment, I think.
Just the point, the land, the grassed area is not ours.
I
It's
know,
totally,
I know.
so we can't go around
No, I know.
touching.
It needs to be borne in mind.
In principle, we would like to see an improvement in that window area opening or whatever. We need to explore more what it's going to cost and what it might be, and thinking of our interests as well as the current tenant.
Yeah.
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 Happy with that?
So see what you can do. I will put in the action for me to bring more information to the next meeting. You could decide to look at a motion where you're wanting to have a window installed in principle. But my view would be you probably do need more information about it first.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes. So the next thing is about electricity provider. So in just a reminder that aim number 4 is for the parish council is to address a climate emergency. I'm just wanting to keep you in the loop really. I suspect I know what you're going to say here. So Richard's had a conversation with me about researching a new provider for energy to the whole toilet block, not just the Gartside unit. And he's struggling to get figures about it in quotations for costings. And what he's trying to gauge is a steer from you as a committee as to whether the most cost effective or the most green energy supplier should be favoured in what he's looking for.
Does this have to fit with the plans for the solar panels as well?
In what? Yes.
We're still doing the solar panels.
Yes.
So, in a sense, yes, okay.
Yeah.
So how
He's
those
basically, he's getting higher quotes from greener suppliers, and he wants
Yes.
us to know what we want to do.
Yeah, and you are committed. Your aim is to address the climate
Yes,
emergency.
absolutely.
We go with the green energy.
Yes, absolutely. I second that.
Okay. Have we all agreed on that? Anyone against that?
I'm interested how much more is it than the other one?
That's the issue. You just can't find the figures.
Right.
It's not clear.
And if the green one can't be found, anybody else supplies with electricity.
And just other information related to this topic. So from minutes, a previous resolution, not sure where Epic's got to with their Bright Green Energy Fund application, because I know they were working very close to the deadline. So
I think she missed the deadline.
she missed
I
it.
think so.
And also, Epics are going to have a wall plaque made with details of their business. I've asked that we see designs before they put that to any manufacturing. They're going to put a vinyl sticker on the letterbox, which I think is fine. They want to have an exterior A-board, which they've been liaising with Steve regarding. And there was a bit of a hiccup with the rent payment, getting the September payment from them. That's sorted now. Thank you to Rich for sorting invoices. They are hoping to get a finance officer in place, and when that happens, they will start paying rent by standing order, which will be much more manageable. And that's all I've got to report.
Thank you for that.
Well done, thanks
Yes.
for all the work.
Anything else you want to be approved on that, or are you happy with
fine, that's lovely.
I did suggest to Tim that we might have a meeting, and I say we, whoever wants to be involved with them, sometime in the next month or two, to look at their project, what some of our objectives are, and where there's potential for partnership. And so on. She was well up for that. So if that's okay, I'll call a meeting at some point and just involve whoever wants to be involved. Okay. Thank you for that. Moving on. Home Firth Public Toilets. The working group was established, and I can tell you that Alison has been doing a national tour of public
You've been
toilets.
to every lab in the north. Have you done that?
Oh, more than yours. Was it national or international? I'm not sure. But
How do we rank?
Well, I have to say, just anecdotally, before I say what we've been doing, I went and saw 3 toilets in Derbyshire, partly because in Hathersage they won an award for their public toilets, and I went to look at the design, which was very nice, but very mucky. And then I went to 2 others, they were also very mucky. So our toilets are shabby but clean.
Are those the ones in the centre of Hathersage?
Yeah.
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 I know a lot of photography around there, so yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it you made the nest?
No.
Yeah, and the disabled toilet was locked
Yeah.
on 2 of them. So yeah, it was a bit.
Do you two want? Yeah, I know you and Tom. You went along. You sort of have come back with some findings. Do you want to just summarise where you each think? So I think you have slightly different views on the refurbishment.
Well, not really. I mean, the email you sent today,
Yeah.
I'm completely in agreement with you. If you want to.
Shall we have what I said today?
Read what you said.
So, we went and had a meeting at the toilets. We met Alison there, John Ford's wife, who also opens and closes the toilets and cleans them as well. Talked about quite a lot of things. We only half an hour we were chatting about Alison. Really good, really productive. And there's problems with the building. That probably need a lot of money spending on them. To do it, there's water coming in from the floor, condensation problems and all kinds of things. With the roof, and I don't know where to start. We probably need a survey of the building and someone to have a look at it properly, and then come to us and say to us what we need to do and how we can fix it, because there's problems with the building. So at this point, there's probably not much point in spending huge amounts of money on the toilets when, at the moment, like I think they do a solid purpose, and I think they're doing the job, and not as brilliant as they could be. There's ways they could be better, but is there any point in spending a lot of money on them when the building needs work doing on them, which you might need to do that, and they would cancel out the work, the improvements we've done. There's small little things we can do in the short term to fix. Like we picked up we had a bit of snagging list, didn't we? Problems with the doors. There was problems with the mirror, and a few other things that we can do to make things better in the short term. But in the long-term project, if we are going to refurbish them, make them as good as they can be, we probably need to do more work on this to get in position before we start doing it, don't we?
The fabric of the building.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just interrupt Tom a minute?
Yeah.
To say, because what Alison said was, she found it really disheartening to have to keep these shabby toilets clean because it never looked really nice, it was just okay. And then the condensation is coming off the ceiling, and the paint's all peeled off in the apex of the roof. And the vents are all blocked up. It's funny, you've got the vent in the outside unit, which you want to make into a window, but the vent on this side doesn't look as if it's working. There's something about the condensation and the circulation of air that's not quite right at all. But some of it's a bit botched, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I think
it's botched.
when we refurbished them originally, we didn't realise the state that the building was in. All these things that we didn't aware of or knew about. So there's things that at the moment it's serving a purpose and doing its job, but we want it to be better than that, don't we? And to do this, I think we need to have a long-term plan, maybe get a survey done, and we probably need to meet with John and Alison as well to kind of think about what they're working on the building day in, day out.
Yeah.
And so they know about it. Yeah.
If we're going to spend money on it, can we make their lives easier and more efficient as well?
Yeah, because I think we should make it better for them, a better place for them to work and for them to look after. Like you mentioned, the old baby changing room, the storeroom, which is kind of just, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. It's just stuff in there, but there's no shelves in there. There's nothing in there like to put all the equipment in and things like that. And there's things that we can do to make it better for them, and then they can be more proud of the work that they do. But I think also, I think they might be a bit run down and running the toilets for the last 8 or 9 years, seeing people nicking locks and breaking things and saying things week on week. That kind of stuff's going to drag you down a bit. And they still take a lot of pride in what they do, and they do a good job of it. But I think I can understand why, and you can probably understand when you've gone to other toilets and seeing things. There's a lot of dealing with the public and things like that that causes problems. People blocking up the toilets. What was that thing in the disabled toilets someone mentioned about?
Oh, just
About blocking up the sink and putting bodily fluids in there, and then putting crisps in it afterwards that someone keeps on doing. Just random things like that. Bizarre. Right?
Yeah, some of it wasn't nice, but
Yeah.
but the other thing is if you have the fabric of the building looking better, I think people are disinclined to spoil things.
Yes.
I do think if it looks a bit down at heel, then you don't really bother
Yeah.
with
There's a lot of evidence about cleaning graffiti as soon as it gets put up, so... Yeah.
And also just having things that are made right. So you say about the small sink that went in the outside room, and that was lying in the baby changing room. I thought, I'm sure he's not going to put that sink in there. And he did. So these are very small sinks, they're not public utility sinks, these are more like bathroom sinks.
Downstairs loo sinks.
Yeah, there are, and there's a few things like that where I think the spec isn't good enough, really.
I think with your long-term plan, a real benefit of that will be it can be your view as a working group. You know, I mean, and I think John will do his level best if given very clear directions over.
That's what I wrote down actually.
Yes.
I thought that we could give him a list, in the first instance, we could give him a list of things that Tom wrote down, and then go and check sort of what it looks like. That would be the first thing. If we complete these tasks, and then one of the things I don't understand is where the money comes from when he buys like a new grab rail or something like that.
So, because I know in the email you sent, Alison, things like loo rolls, all the sort of consumables, he gives us receipts for, and that comes out of the toilet budget line. So that's where that all comes from.
Right, okay.
So, and you know, in using the sink, he'll have thought he was saving us money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you bought second-hand grab rails in the disabled toilet and they're rusty. So I'm not quite sure whether that
Well, it's perhaps, I mean, because I'm also thinking of the other work that John does for us as well.
Yeah.
You know, don't want to sort of, you know, throw the maid out the bathwater. Because, you know, it could be that there's other areas where you know, he does actually genuinely save us money, and we appreciate that, and we want to just get that balance right.
So I was thinking that the brief's got to be a bit clearer.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
not John's fault.
absolutely,
No,
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
John's fault.
I think he's working hard in our interest.
Yes.
That
Absolutely.
rail perhaps wasn't in our interest in a way.
And he's taken the 2 signs that were on the stone face of the toilet and then stuck them on the doors so that the signage doesn't match anything else. Which is a little bit like saving money, but slightly pointless, really.
I think we've got a little bit of work to do on that kind of understanding.
Yes,
between us.
yes. So that would be my first thing about how you do that.
Yeah, well, I think James already, you know, on with that to some extent as well. I think in terms
I
of
think we need to do
better
like,
communication.
with compensation and things like that. I think one of the first things we do is maybe get a survey done of the
Yes.
building. And I don't know who would do that.
Find out what's
A condition
wrong with
survey. Find out what's wrong with it
Yeah.
and how to fix it
Yeah.
and how much it's going to cost. And I think that's what we need to do. Like in the short term, there's the list that we've identified of
Yeah.
little snagging things which
Yeah.
can be fixed at a small cost. I think we do about £4,000 in the budget, which I'd like to think we'll get a survey on. It's not a huge building. We can get that done for that and get the other bits fixed, and should have quite a bit left over hopefully. But I think that's what I'd like to propose to them actions at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Oh, cool. We agree.
So,
I think Tom's absolutely right. We don't want to end up with another miniature civic.
So are you talking about using monies from the EMR 351, the Home First Toilets refurb,
Yeah.
Commission a survey.
commission a condition survey?
From a local builder, would it be, to address the problem of condensation? Who would you go to?
No, it would be a surveyor.
A surveyor?
Or a civic engineer, civil engineer.
Somebody who knows about.
Somebody who knows about.
Okay.
I mean, some builders will and some builders won't.
Yeah.
And give you a recommendation for.
That's the thing that might be where we were wrong before when we did it. We went to builders and asked them about things to do it, and that's what we did.
Right.
So they were doing it like what happened with City Hall. Like, do it properly this time and get it done. And we'll find out what we need to do. Hopefully it's not as scary as the report about City Hall.
So commission, so that's on the table as a proposal, and also that out of the EMR there might be some sort of minor
Snagging things.
snagging things that can be dealt with in the short term.
But we know our sticking plaster, but it's sticking plaster we need.
The experience better there.
Yeah, and I think John's already made some improvements, hasn't he, with mirrors and
Sort of,
stuff?
yeah, half. Yeah.
One of the things I mentioned was the display when you're going in there, the actual the front screen. Maybe getting something printed to put on the front of there, which make it a lot better and more informative, rather than having a few bits and pieces on there, which looks a bit scrappy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we can do things. We can definitely do things better than we have been doing.
Can I just ask then, there's 4,100 and whatever in the EMR. Finding out how much the survey is going to cost is the first step, isn't it? And then we might have an idea what else is left. Then it will be a question, I think, of do we look to spend that on some of those smaller improvements, or do we actually hang on to that money to put towards what might come out of the survey?
Yeah. I would think that just in the meantime, like have a kicking board on the ladies' toilet door that needs doing, because it's just got.
Yeah,
So
there's
there are
a few little things.
Definitely.
Well, at least
If you look at the little things we have, you could probably fix most of them for like 200, 300 quid.
Yeah.
And they would bring a really good return. It's like getting the low hanging fruit, isn't it? The high flying fruit is like the big refurb in the end and getting the survey done. That takes a bit more work.
The other thing we didn't mention though, and I did think I put it in the email, you know the water dispenser outside, it's leaking at the bottom and it's corroding, and there's like a mossy puddle at the bottom, so it's dripping out the bottom.
It needs to service, doesn't it?
So it needs servicing by the installer, does it? It's not a John Ford job, that is it? I think it's possibly
No.
the people who.
Is that the Yorkshire Water?
We'd have to go back
No,
to see
it's
who
got
was
a
putting
tricky
it
name
in.
on actually.
Yeah.
Just say again, Alison, what it is. I didn't quite catch it.
You know the water dispenser, it's got a sort of thing on the bottom. It's, the water is dripping out of the bottom.
I think that's happened before.
And it's corroding. So there's a rusty bit now, and then a bit of a mossy puddle on the floor.
I'd be interested if that's under guarantee, because that must be under 5 years old. I think sometimes you get 5 years guarantee, don't you, when you buy something that costs
Yeah.
wear and tear.
It's not more than 2 years old, is it? Maybe
No.
3.
It's only
Yeah.
very recent.
Anyway, that was.
Right. Okay. So, can I suggest then that you have your motion over commissioning a condition survey, commissioning expenditure up to £4,000 on a condition survey, using EMR 351, with and then maybe come back in a November meeting for some of the snagging things. The stuff you're talking like kickboards, I would just authorise anyway, Alison. It doesn't
Right.
need.
Okay. Doesn't need.
No, it would just come out.
That come out day to day as well, rather than the refurb, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
But maybe we could have another meeting beforehand and have another look before the next meeting and
Okay.
come up with a list of what other things that they are. So we get the survey done now and then the other little things maybe afterwards. And hopefully John, he might have looked at a lot of these things and seen them as well.
Yeah.
Especially
Oh, what's
after we mentioned to our license, he might have done. I haven't been in since we were
No, I don't.
Okay, is that everyone happy with?
Can I just say one more thing? Can it not have environmentally friendly cleaning products as well? Is that how would you address that?
We can make it a principle.
Yeah. You can just
Can I just ask? Like, I don't know what
you can resolve
fits with our council policy,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I presume John is, we are paying for the cleaning products that John uses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I assume John is choosing them and getting them, is he, or are you?
No, John does it.
So
Yeah.
maybe
Asking
he
him
needs
to
to
get
be
green
told
ones.
that by that,
That's
by
the
that.
bit I'm not quite sure.
Well, if you want any specific recommendations as well in terms of products or whatever, but not now, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are so
Yeah.
many.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he is allowed to finish off the stuff he's already got.
Mm.
Already
It doesn't
bought.
look in credit card.
Right, do you want to resolve on that then? That we're from moving forward, once whatever is currently being used is used up, any new stock is environmentally friendly?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay, going to take a vote on it?
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that. And thank you.
Okay, I couldn't send this on the blooming webmail. I cannot attach photos to my thing. That is the Hathersage collection donations box.
About £14.
Donate that to you, because I said, I tried for ages this afternoon, I can't send it.
There's one thing that John's mentioned in his report was about maybe people aren't putting as much money into the policy box because people don't carry around as much cash. I mentioned before about maybe getting the device and putting it on there.
Getting looked.
And it all through Cornwall, it's a QR code, so that people use. So there's a donation box of different types, better than what we've got at the moment. But what people have got is a QR code that's just, and that's how they can make donations.
Can we look at maybe getting one of them? Because we've looked at one as well through Friends of Cliff Rock, which we're very involved with. And you can get these sum up machines as well now, which might not be relevant for the toilet, but we might be using them for Cliff Rock events. And you can get some for about 30 quid now, and you can pay back about, to sum up, about 1% or something per transaction.
Yes,
Some
you need
some
a
of
you need a
will work.
connection.
Some of will work, it's done with a phone.
And we don't have an internet connection there.
You need an internet connection for some of people. There's stuff in the cafe I go to that uses some of, they use their own mobile phone.
Can't we use the Wi-Fi from the corner house or something like that across the road? Wow.
Steal Wi-Fi.
That's giving you a couple of quid a month or something.
A QR code, you
Yeah,
don't
right.
need any.
Yeah, but the QR code, let's try that.
And anybody can download a QR reader free.
And if we use the QR code, we can see how it works. It's like, like a trial, isn't it? It's not
I think we have to ensure that our bank will accept that QR link. Anyway, we can do what we can look at. Yeah.
Right, can I give you some
compromise.
feedback about the Hungerford Food and Drink Festival? If you remember, there was an issue last year with the loos. I mean, it happened while John's been on holiday, but his members of his team were actually paid by the Food and Drink Festival to do extra shifts. So every 2 hours things were being checked and so forth, and the feedback was that things were much better. The additional portaloos and things meant that there was far less pressure and things were better and were cleaner. But there was still some vandalism that happened, and it's an ongoing issue now with a flush being broken in. I understand the gent's been closed at the moment. They will be repaired this week. But yeah, and the disabled door lock got broke as well, but it was fixed immediately.
Good.
So, but it was much better.
Could I resolve that we write to the Food and Drink Festival organisers thanking them for responding to what we requested?
Yeah. I'll put that down as an action from me.
Thank you. Finished on the toilets and so on? Yeah. I don't mean that. Further progress regarding possible tendering process. I think it's quite brief, mightn't it, in terms of where we're at?
Yeah, I'm going to do this in private session as well.
Okay. Right. Yes, we did. Okay, moving on to the next item, which is item 40, which is mainly John's report to us as our contractor. You've had a chance to look at it. He's been doing a lot of work, there's a lot of detail in the report as well, particularly regarding the benches and so on that have been attended to. I would certainly like to thank John for this report and for all the work that's been done in the responses to the requests that have been coming in and so on. Anything you want to say on this report, Jen?
Just to mention about the ceramic plaque that got vandalised, and I know that John in one of his team, spent quite a bit of time fishing about in the river trying to recover all the bits, and Jim Robinson, I know, is very happy with the repair that he's done, and so that's sort of going above and beyond, really.
Well done, John. Special thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we'll record that. Thank you. Anything else? Any other actions required for this?
Nothing new to say.
Thank you. If councillors could, continue to sort of report any issues on any of the assets within their ward, it's really helpful, I think. Good. Okay, New Mill Close Cemetery. Close Cemetery.
Outstanding action is for the chair and myself to seek a meeting with the church authorities just to look at the service level agreement. It's part of the tendering process. That's one of the good things about pushing the timeline a bit back, because it allows things like that to happen.
Okay, so it's just a note.
Yeah.
Thank you. Allotments. You brought this. You wanted this item here, Jane Radisson.
Well, it was an inquiry about allotments that we own because of the biodiversity policy that Mary and I are working on. And so I spoke to Rich, and he said that allotments come under finance and management. And then he sort of suggested that was a bit of an odd place to have allotments. But explain why, because there was income.
And not much else, in truth.
Pardon?
And not much else today in terms of our activity, I don't think. So I think that's my understanding.
So I thought was, we look after the toilets and the room. And allotments is a service provision item, but it should come into this remit, because we're also wanting to look at allotment provision, aren't we, as well? And I can't see how that would work under finance management. So that's why my suggestion is as it is.
So I'm going to open up this up if anyone wants to make any comment about this. I will sort of, the caution here is that we can't actually decide in service provision about sort of redelegating, changing that delegation. That has to be from full council. Also, that there is currently a programme of reviewing the whole committee structure at the moment, isn't there? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sarah's doing something, but I didn't know she was reviewing the whole of the committee structure.
Oh, right.
She was doing her own.
My mistake then. Do you want to clarify?
And if
No,
she's
it-
moved
it-
out
it-
to look at the whole thing, she should have told us.
She has told you.
It is
She has told
He
you.
was agreed at full council two
Yeah.
full councils ago.
Yeah.
That's what was happening.
Yeah.
And I'm in charge, not Sarah.
Oh.
Sarah's probably doing all the work, but if you want to have a go at somebody, have a go at me.
Can I ask you then, Chris? Is it sensible for us to consider at this point? We can consider in principle and pass comment, but is it sensible for us to consider, moving, recommending that this comes to service provision?
Yes, because I don't think the fact that the review that things we discussed at the moment aren't really affecting service provision
Right.
or finance. Other than that, we would like to make it more efficient in that there are more full council meetings, so that a couple of times tonight we've had to pass resolutions to make sure we can do things because there isn't going to be a full council meeting in time. So that's kind of the main thrust of what it will be, but it isn't going to, service provision will from all the suggestions we've had so far, just stay as it is. And we're trying to get rid of case, or
Yeah.
certain aspects of case, so allotments, to me, would be logical. It is a service that is provided by the council, so
Yeah, it does seem so.
I think I'd support Alison's proposal.
Yeah.
Okay. So the proposal is that we consider a recommendation to full council that the responsibility for allotments is shifted from F&M to service provision. Does anyone want to make any comment about it?
I wanted to add one more thing, which is a riposte really to you when I made this suggestion at the beginning, is that the biodiversity policy says that we should not be using herbicides and pesticides, and one of the things I wanted to add, and I think it should be in this committee, but you think not, that people who have allotments should not be spraying pesticides and herbicides if those allotments belong to us. And I think that should be embedded in this committee, in this service provision thing as well, because it's part of the policy about being green, about doing the right thing.
I think, but we don't currently have responsibility for allotments, do we?
We don't.
So,
That was the point.
First
I
things-
know,
first
but
things
I want to put it in people's minds.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to put it in people's minds.
I think
So
that's
I know it's
noted,
the
and if
next
we
step.
can't act on it.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Tom?
My thought on that is, I agree with it totally, but would the management committee at home allotments agree with it? And who would enforce it? It's a difficult one.
Yes, a personal view of mine is, could we go down, have you looked at a route of consultation and education
Yeah.
as opposed to dictating to people?
I don't want to put people's backs up.
this committee can't discuss this
No.
anyway,
No,
so
yeah.
let's move on.
Let's start by moving the responsibility into this committee.
Okay, so on that point about the recommendation to move that,
Can I just suggest it's put on the F&M meeting for next Monday? Because if we say we'll take it, and they say they'll let it go, then full council really should just
Yeah,
rubbish
Yeah.
stamp it.
yeah, good
Yeah.
idea.
Well, all we're saying
Rather-
is we're
rather-
happy to take it,
Telling F&M in
should
the
it be decided.
full council meeting that you've got to let it go, but it'll just be easy,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I can't see any reason why they'd object.
The only reason why I can see the sense in keeping it with F&M is, well, not all of it. I don't think the allotment provision needs to be with F&M, but Rich handles all of the tenancy agreements, so there's a bit of consistency there about F&M's remit.
And the
They
garages,
can
but the
discuss that.
garages could move as well, but they are an asset.
Tom?
We've already got quite a lot going on in this committee meeting, showing that we're about 2/3 through the agenda and we've got 10 minutes left in the meeting. Do we really need to be taking on more things, which, when finance meetings, are they taking the full 2 hours, or are they going
No,
over?
they're getting shorter than three.
So,
I'd like to move the garages, the allotments.
so for that reason, no, seriously, are they getting, are they busy, are they taking another 2 hours like?
No, they're not usually, no. We've got,
So-
I won't be there on Monday, I'm on holiday, but the ones with grant applications are longer than the others. And the next one is a grant application, so maybe you could ask Rich to note how long it lasts.
Alison?
One of the other parts about the allotment though is providing more allotments. And is that an F&M thing?
That could
Or
be
is
through
service
us.
Provision.
But like the management of them and how they're running, like if we were to like having an agenda item for sourcing new allotments and potential new allotments, we could do that for this committee. And then once we've got them and done it, palm it off onto them. But, but like, you know what I mean? I just think that we've already got a lot on this committee. And
But I think what we have to do, especially with new allotments, at the moment, all the allotments have allotment attendants and they organise themselves and let us know if a wall is falling down or something. And we need for somebody, we can't be organising the allotments or policing the pesticides or, you know, whatever.
We've got another proposal, which is that F&M, we invite F&M just to consider this item. And
But
whether
should
they-
we include the, I hate to say this, but if we are shifting all of the assets into this the garages should be part of that decision as well.
Can I just say, I don't want to do the tenancy agreements for the allotments in garages.
I think,
I've got lots of things I need to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. The workload is enough from our committee. Leave it with Rich. I bet he loves doing that.
yeah, I think Tom makes a good point.
What about the income from the toilets and the fact the toilets are here? That's what I don't understand. Toilets are in service provision.
And the
The
outside
income-
building.
Yeah,
And
no,
the outside
It's a
building
grey
is-
area.
it's a very fair point. You can have like the building management through finance, but like the running of the toilets come through us, because that's the running of the stuff. So it's a bit different, isn't it?
Can
I don't know what you mean though. Totally agree with you.
Can I suggest we make this decision based on clerical hours involved? And that we don't have one clerk, Jen, with far more work than she can manage, and another clerk with spare capacity.
I can also add, you know, you're right, it is about the clerking hours, but also from the chair's point of view, I have to say, you know, the amount that we are involved with is huge. And the decisions and so on. Yeah, so if my own personal view is, if I can see the sense as to why we might be arguing that we move to service provision, there's a lot of sense in it, but practically, I think there would have to then be some other solutions as to how those responsibilities are divided up and so on and allocated, and that's both from the clerk's point of view and the chair's.
I think we do need a root and branch reform of committee structures, and I understood that's what was happening, but I'd just like to move next business,
Okay.
please.
So are we or are we not suggesting that F&M consider handing them log?
There doesn't seem to.
The
I
changes
can put it.
in
I
the
can put
work.
it to the vote, but there doesn't seem, you know, as to whether we are making that recommendation. But
I don't think we should.
I think I think we're divided, and I think we would need to explore this further. Is what I'm going to suggest from the chair, rather than move to a vote on this at the moment.
Okay.
Is that okay? Okay. Public transport provision. There were notes from the updated notes, slightly frustrated notes probably. We're making little bits of progress, not as much as I would have thought with vote and so on. The notes went out. Has anyone got any questions on them? Can I just comment that I was pleased to see that Stotts were providing a free service again for Food and Drink Festival. We've yet to get all the figures to actually analyse whether
It
to
didn't
what
cover the
extent.
whole valley, sadly, though.
It covered. It
It
was
only
all.
covered the routes they do. There was nothing to Honley.
It was the H buses. No, you're right.
It only covered the
Yeah.
other bit of the valley,
Yeah.
not Honley. And it should have
They
been.
don't normally run on a weekend, though, do they?
It's
So-
Saturday or Sunday. They did it on Saturday.
Alright.
Chris, is that okay? Yeah, not missed anything there. Christmas tree provision, I'm just conscious of the time here, is moving on as planned, basically. Well, you've seen the report and so on. Does anyone want to ask any questions of the report, or just Jen want to make any comment? Anything?
I think so. All we need really is for you to approve the proposals as presented in the report.
Everyone
propose
happy?
to do that.
Yeah.
The Christmas tree? Thank you. Dog waste strategy isn't just dog waste strategy, it's public litter. And we did meet as a group, in the notes are in the papers, so we being Mary, Jane and myself, we're going to be realistic in what we're proposing we tackle, and we are prioritising at this point the provision at Sands, and are looking to work in partnership with Kirklees on how things can be improved with the litter bins and one thing and another at Sands. Okay, there is an EMR already available. Nothing much more to decide at this point. If anyone else wants to be involved, you'd be very welcome. I'm conscious of the time.
Can I speak on this actually?
Yes, sorry, Tom. Can I move that standing orders are suspended? Thank you.
Dog poo, it does my headache, and I always find myself going back to it in these meetings and various things, or on the parents' WhatsApp group at Eden School. So at Eden School, some parents with their infinite wisdom decide to take their dogs with them to pick up their kids from the school, and then they go and poo in the playground. And then one of the poor children in Aiden's class slipped in it, with all of the uniform, all the shoes and all this kind of stuff. And in Grand Ryland in New Mill as well, it's on the pavement all the time. I don't know what is wrong with certain people just leaving it there. And a huge pile was outside the school as well. And it's infuriating. And I don't really know what to do about it. But I know that when Upper Swan School, we did a thing a few years ago where we got the kids to design a poster. A cute little poster, they do their things, and to pick up the poo and stuff like that. And I was thinking about approaching the head at the New Mill School and asking if they want to do something similar about it and things like that. It is bad outside the school and various things. And I know as well that we had a bag dispenser at schools which isn't there anymore. Could we possibly is it still
The
there?
one at Sandygate?
Yeah.
Yeah, we took it away because it was.
It was getting mistreated. Is it still available to use, or could it be in position anywhere else? Because we could possibly put that one in New Mill. And I'd feel it all get the school involved with it. Because then, just to see if that makes a difference. It probably won't make a difference, because people are idiots and do my head and not picking up the dog poo.
Can I just say, Tom, I mean, firstly, we'll pick up on that suggestion in the working group. Second thing is that, again, picking up on some of the points you're making, I think, Mary drew our attention to the fact that there was already a dog waste strategy for this parish council, which dates back to 2017, and that perhaps it needs reviewing. So when I read it, thought, you know what, there's quite a few things in there that we're not doing actually in terms of that strategy, which probably includes some of the things you're talking about public education, promoting, you know, more responsible behaviour, etc., working with groups like the schools and so on. So I think we can perhaps pick up on exactly that, which doesn't preclude any individual things that anyone wants.
I will suggest something to the school at the moment, but if you can think about that with your group, and if you want me to use me to help with them as well, you could do.
Yeah.
But I don't want all the parents to know this council yet, because then they'll be asking me stuff about dog poo and roads all the time. so when I'm in the playground, I made them start, I'm not council it, so
There is one spare dispenser that's we've still got here. So, do you know exactly where it is you want it to go?
what does it fit on? Does it fit on the lamppost? So I can have a think about it. Does John fit them? Did John fit them?
John fits them.
So
not just the lamppost, the one at Hayden is just on a separate post that's in there.
I could probably think of somewhere the is a junction.
Shall I put as an action for you to liaise with me?
I'll take a screenshot of somewhere in the Google Map picture and see where you can put it, and then I can get some of them bags and put them in there, and hopefully, and then it'll annoy me because somebody only called the bags on the first day, and then they won't do it. And
The great Honley bag theft.
Sorry, I'm just
going to get angry at future meetings about it.
Could you also, if you're thinking about that in terms of location, could you take into account that we also started discussing, but haven't resolved within our working group, whether it's sensible that wherever there is a dispenser, there is a bin fairly nearby.
There is a bin just nearby.
Yeah, because that may be, I don't know, maybe one of the issues. Yeah. Shouldn't be, but it could be.
Just a point on where you can place them. I saw something through some work we're doing with Ascom that Kirklees are changing their policies on what you can put on street lighting. So you can't attach stuff anymore.
Yeah, we've had that
Yeah,
information. Yeah.
Okay. Alison, did you want to make a quick
I
point?
was just going to ask Tom, actually, where my grandchildren go to school in Slough, the signs on the gates as you go into the school saying no dogs. Is there anything like that?
Well, there's been emails gone out to everybody saying to them, you're not allowed to bring your dogs into the playground now.
Yeah,
But
but
you
these
see them
big-
tied up on the fence outside, and people do, but people that, well, it's only the first 2 or 3 weeks of term, it's the people who are not really behaving, not doing things properly. But hopefully they will do now, because it was really bad that happened last week.
Well, it's just a bit of a prompt, isn't it?
Yeah.
That sign, because
Yeah.
you're at the gates.
They're just in the same at airports. I think maybe the heads have got together then.
I think it's because it's start term and people maybe
They've
forgot
got
a lot
new
of things, so-
parents, it's not just new children, is it? It's new parents.
Yeah, we need educating.
Yeah. We can't pick everything up, can we? Get it wrong again. Really. But yeah, schools have to take some responsibility here as well.
Yeah, for the playground, but outside where there's loads of it, not on the pavements.
Well, maybe they take responsibility for parking
in their
sometimes.
vicinity, the way they do with the little bollard or something
Yeah.
as well.
Okay. Okay, moving on from that. Just to note, we'll report back further another time. Tourism, there wasn't time for me to get the report to you. I had a very productive meeting last week with 3 other local partners in terms of looking at potential for us working with them on tourism and promoting tourism, including Home Turf Forward. So I'll report back further.
Is Coventry Business Association part of that, or are they all Home First?
Well, it was Home Firth Forward incorporating Home Firth Business together. Yeah, the business association.
Holly Business Association.
Oh no, well, no, but we can pick up on that.
Don't confine it to Home Firth.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Youth work in the Home Valley. Susan,
She should be here. Shall I go out and see if she's not waiting downstairs or something?
Why did we have her this late?
She wanted to be late. She had something else to do.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really good to see this. I think this is another piece of really valuable work that we do, isn't it?
There's something I'd like to mention about this chair actually in private session about youth work. Nothing to do with the youth work that we're doing. There's some really good stuff, but about an incident that happened in New Mill a few weeks ago.
Is it something we need to consider at this meeting?
No, it's just
Well, no, it's like private sessions.
Do you want to take it into private?
yeah, I just prefer to do it. Just because I'm going to mention this incident that happened. It only took about 2 minutes, but it's quite important, the youth work that we are doing.
So you want the recording off?
Yeah.
Well, you need to resolve to hear.
Yeah, I propose that we, yeah, that's
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we have a report from Susan Greenwood on behalf of Tyler as well. I'd like to thank Susan and Tyler for the report. It's very helpful. I have a couple of questions about it, but I'd rather put those to Susan. Anyone want to raise any queries, comments?
Yeah, there's a bit in here about contacting Holly Youth, and I'll be honest, I've been away most of the summer, so I've been really dealing with emails that I didn't have to. But by the same token, I have rung Susan. I did ring Susan a couple of times before the summer started, left messages. She never got back to me, and they do have my number. So if it was urgent, they could have rung me. But I'll pick it up with her. I'll pick it up with Susan and give her a bell.
Thank you.
I really like some of the quotations from the young people. Some of them are incredibly moving, I think, and it just shows how valuable youth work is and how much we need it. And it's a good thing. It is a really good thing.
But the Friday night youth club in Holly is closed.
But I would like to recognise what came out of the report, which is that they've tried to be creative. We're doing some outreach work in Honley and are keeping it under review, I think. And so it is, yeah.
I've seen that online.
Sorry?
I've seen it in online also.
Have you? Yeah. I think they seem to be reviewing how successful it was, whether they should be doing it slightly differently on the report and so on. Anyone got any other queries, comments?
Well, only, it's a pity we can't spend more money and get more time. Because, I mean, the amount of money we're spending is pathetically small in some ways.
I think they are asking for more actually, but more about inflation.
But, with the amount of money and the time that's being put in, the rewards are there. I mean, more money would bring, probably, it's going to be a geometric increase.
There's a direct relationship.
I'm pretty sure this will come back in our budget discussions anyway with I suspect a request from Susan. Actually on that, not, but so we can pick up on that. else? Final item in that case is items for publicity. We are oddly, as somebody said, in Purda at the moment, which I find weird, but there you go, that's a personal comment. But anyway, so this is until after the by-election, which is in a couple of weeks' time. But we'll be planning anyway. If anything anyone particularly wants, you know, there's loads we can pick up. I'm quite happy to pick up on stuff with Jen and Gemma, but does anyone want to pick anything out particular that they want to publicise? Okay, in that case I will draw this meeting to a close. Thank you for your patience. And that's it. Thank you.
And the important stuff, what are we going to do?
It was a lot tonight, hasn't
Sandwiches, drinks, tea, coffee.
See you
it?
tomorrow.
Yeah, if you don't mind it, so we're going to move on to this one. I don't think the Civic Hall should be on. Was it the law? Is it Civic Hall versus violence? Civic Hall, that's much more about expenditure, isn't it?
We're not really providing the service.
Yeah, Civic Hall.
We're just the landlord to that. Somebody else. You've involved that.
Two separate people, isn't it, when these things on the
Sorry?
All right, yeah. It takes people to know.
It is,
That's all downstairs, it's bigger than us. So that's why I mentioned it to you, with you being the boss leading that thing. So that's what I mentioned to you. That's what I mentioned to you, because yeah, I think it's true.
So you actually were talking about in review of what business is looked into and all the committee.
Well, I think it's you look at the remit of the committees, right? So, yeah, that's what I mean. Like you could have the maintenance of the toilets, but the running of the toilets and things comes through us. But unlike, so like building the maintenance, you could say, and land management, rentals and things like that goes through finance. But maybe the daily running of them and things like that comes through us.
sign the approved
So
minutes.
it's-
Yeah, of course.
It's complicated. You need to think about what does this committee do, and then look at all the things, and then decide which part it falls into. But you could have somewhere.
You have to sign.
It's a grey area. It's
Yeah.
So is there somewhere where they're listing all these committees when they were historically?
historically about 40 odd years ago.
Well, I
Oh,
know. If you look at all the parish councils, and no one's wondering exactly the same as us. They all have different ways of doing it.
Well, you can change it, but it's quite a bit of committees.